Here are my top defensive streamers for week 9. Cincinnati Bengals get the Carolina Panthers. Beautiful spot. My number 5 defense for week 9. They're 43% rostered, so not the most widely available unit, but under 50%. So give them a look. They've held 5 of their 7 opponents below 20 points. They haven't been overly opportunistic right now, but against the Browns, they did rack up 2 sacks, an interception, a fumble recovery. So they ended up finishing with 7 points despite giving up 32, a season high 32 points nonetheless. So good spot there after a bad game. This team has some upside, the biggest of it being they're facing the Carolina Panthers, who, PJ Walker's giving them a little more life. We just saw them put up over 34 real-life points. Like, they looked good, but they've given up the 9th most points per game to defenses. This is a Bengals team that is going to be fired up, coming off a loss, needing a win. I think they just smother PJ Walker and the Panthers, force a few more turnovers than we've been accustomed to. It is an 8-point favorite. Big fan of the Panthers, the matchup, the players overall, good stuff. I also might like the Vikings even more than them, facing the Commanders, who, yes, they're winning with Taylor Heineke. The offense still isn't great right now. They've only scored 20 or more points once since week 2. They're giving up the 5th most points to fantasy defenses. And Minnesota is playing really, really well as a defense. 10 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries across their last 2 games, including a 6-sack effort against Kyler Murray last week. 2 interceptions to go with those as well. 21 sacks on the season. That's 10th most among all defenses right now for the Vikings. Facing an offense that's surrendered 20 sacks. A bad offensive line. They've given up, like mentioned, the 5th most points to defenses. As 4-point road favorites, I think the Vikings can once again be a very, very viable fantasy defense. 13 and 10 points in back-to-back weeks, top 10 for both of those metrics. Very, very solid stuff. And the last Hail Mary option, I recommended these guys 2 weeks ago before their bye week. They got me 13 points. They did not disappoint. That's the Chiefs. Now, they have given up 20 or more points in every single game so far this year. It's not a team that's going to limit the points scored, that's for sure. A lot of that is because they get up early and they play a little bit more shell, and ultimately teams will get down on them. But this is the exact script you want to use them. A team that doesn't want to pass, being forced to pass, and then the turnovers come. It's a very opportunistic and sack-happy defense when the script gets flipped. And that is exactly what happened with the 49ers 2 weeks ago, and that's exactly what happens against the Titans here. Now, Derrick Henry might just go berserk. They're not good against the run, and Derrick Henry might go for 200 yards, 2 scores, and suddenly this defense is looking atrocious. But if the offense can get up big early, I'm thinking about like the Buffalo Bills game. Yes, they have a much better defense than the Chiefs do. But still, that could be the script here. They get down by 2-3 scores early and have to abandon Derrick Henry. That's when they get in trouble. Whether it's Tannehill or even better, if it's Malik Willis under center at that point, it won't really matter because both those guys suck when they have to come back. That is when we'll see the Chiefs make their money. They've had multiple sacks in 5 of their 7 games. They have 2 games with 5+ sacks. They've forced 5 fumble recoveries, which is right towards the top of the league. Now they're rested after a bye week. They're favored by 11 against Tennessee, who they're projected to score 18 or fewer points across all the books here. It just seems like the right script to bank on the Chiefs. So I would rank my streamers: 1, Bengals, 43% rostered; 2, Vikings, 24% rostered, definitely most likely to be out there for you; and then 3, the Chiefs, 32% rostered. All very solid options. And if none of them are out there, if you're completely desperate, I would say the Cardinals at Seattle. They've had some really solid games. Now, last week, they only scored 6 fantasy points, but overall, across their last 3 weeks, this is a defense that's rostered by pretty much no one. I think they're 4% rostered right now. They've gone 14, 17, and 6. Defensive 3, 3, and 15. Not a bad spot to potentially use them. Seattle has been good at limiting turnovers, but it's still Seattle. They'll be back at home here. So I don't mind the Cardinals. If you're like desperate and then those guys were all gone, they do fall into my top 11 fantasy defenses this week as well. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.